In February of 2025, President Trump directed the United States Treasury Department to cease production of the penny. Despite how divisive politics is, this particular order actually has support from both Democrats and Republicans, and many lawmakers have tried to cancel the penny for decades now. I actually have a list of video topics I wanted to cover, and talking about the penny being a scam was one I wanted to do for a while. I know talking about anything political on YouTube will immediately get people up in arms in the comment section, but for this particular video, I won't be diving into the politics behind the current president, and we'll just be going over the details as to why many people believe the US penny is a massive scam and are happy to see its production ended. Now, to many people, the penny may seem like a harmless coin that is an American tradition that should continue on forever, but the penny actually represents just how dysfunctional the US monetary system actually is. Now, while half my audience is from the US, and I'm sure you all know exactly how much a penny is worth, for my non-US viewers, it's the lowest denomination of US coin, worth 1 cent, and 100 of these things are needed to equal $1 US. 1 cent can't get you anything nowadays, and its only real use at this point is to provide exact change when breaking a dollar. This has led to many people to claim the penny is worthless, but that's actually an understatement because it's actually costing more money for the US to make a new penny than the actual value of the coin. Before 1982, most pennies were made up about 95% copper, but as the price of copper went up, it became too costly to produce the penny, so they were switched to a 97.5 zinc design with a small copper plating. However, that didn't keep the penny profitable for long, and as of 2024, the US Mint reports that it now costs them 3.69 cents to produce every 1 cent penny. The cost of producing pennies has been rising steadily since the pandemic, and 2022 was the worst year, with the US Mint making over 6 billion new pennies at a total loss of over $110 million. Since 2022, the US Mint has been producing less pennies since it's such a massive loss, and was instructed by President Trump in 2025 to stop all production completely. However, the power to stop production of the US penny ultimately is under the control of Congress under Article 1, Section 8, which states that the Congress shall have power to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. So will Congress actually agree with President Trump and cease production of the penny? That's yet to be determined at this point. But in reality, we actually don't need any more pennies produced, since a conservative estimate believes that there are roughly 240 billion lying around the United States right now. More pennies currently exist than the number of human beings that have walked this planet since the dawn of Homo sapiens. It's also believed that the US penny is the most produced coin in the entire history of mankind, so for some people, it's hard to let go of such an iconic piece of history. Other countries like Canada once had 1 cent coins, but stopped production of their penny back in 2012. Did it work out well for Canada, and should the US do the same? We'll talk about that more after a word from today's sponsor. Tired of the soul-crushing slog of job hunting or sifting through endless resumes to fill that vacant position at your company? Well, buckle up, because today's sponsor, ZipRecruiter, is about to turbocharge the whole dang process. For employers, it's like having a hiring superpower. Post your job in mere minutes and watch as ZipRecruiter beams it out to a network of millions of eager job seekers practically begging to work for you. But wait, there's more. ZipRecruiter's mind-blowing matching tech doesn't just sit there. It scans thousands of resumes at warp speed, pinpointing the cream of the crop for your gig. And get this, it'll even slide into those top candidates' DMs and invite them to apply, so you're swimming in quality applicants faster than you can say, you're hired. Once the applicants roll in, their slick dashboard lets you sort, review, and rate candidates like a pro. The system's so smart, it learns your vibe and keeps the good matches coming. Meanwhile, over 4.3 million businesses have already jumped on the ZipRecruiter train, and every single day it's hooking up 10 million job seekers with their next big break. The numbers don't lie. 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Want in on this action? Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/ScottSchaefer. Hit the link, scan the QR code, whatever floats your boat. Big thanks to ZipRecruiter for sponsoring this video and making job hunting a little less of a dumpster fire. As stated before, Canada had a 1-cent coin that ceased production in 2012, and at the time, some people worried that it would make everything cost more, as businesses would round up everything to the nearest 5-cent mark. However, laws were implemented to prevent all rounding up, with cash transactions ending in 1s, 2s, 6s, and 7s rounding down, and the rest rounding up. It's been over a decade now, and the actual cost to consumers has proven to be extremely limited, if any, for most people. If you pay with cash, it tends to balance out over time, and those who pay with credit or debit still pay to the exact cent, since no penny has to be used. That could be done in the US as well, but a law would need to be passed by Congress to do so, or most businesses would most likely start rounding up on all purchases if there is no law preventing it. To be honest, it really is surprising how long the US penny has been able to stick around, considering how unprofitable it's been for decades, and it shows the inability of Congress to be able to work together to fix an issue that really shouldn't be political at all. This has been an issue that has been pushed aside by Congress for decades, with President Nixon's Treasury Secretary writing to Congress in the 1970s, begging lawmakers to give serious consideration to abandoning 1-cent coins as soon as possible. There have been bills that have been put forth in the past 50 years to end the penny, but none of them have ever passed Congress for various different political reasons. Now, before modern politics, this wasn't an issue, and a great example of that is the half-cent coin, which was produced in the United States starting in 1793. This coin, like its name states, was worth half a cent, and at its launch, a loaf of bread in Philadelphia was going for about 4 to 6 cents, so a half-cent coin had some decent value back then. However, as prices rose, the half-cent coin had less and less purchasing power, and Congress eventually discontinued it in 1857 with the Coinage Act. The half-cent coin purchasing power was worth about 17 cents in 2024 dollars when it was discontinued in 1857, so it had much more value than our current-day penny. Yet the Congress of the time realized its dwindling use and worked together to end something they felt didn't benefit the American people, something today's US Congress should learn to do as well. It's pretty clear that the penny has been a growing money loss for the US Mint for decades now, and as we go into a more cashless society, its use dwindles even more. As I said before, there's an estimated 240 billion pennies out there in the US, and most of them are packed away in some jar and never get used. I'm part of that problem, and I've had this jar for nearly a decade filled with mostly pennies and nickels that isn't re-entering the usable coin supply because it just sits in my room untouched. This is one of the main reasons the US Mint has to constantly print new pennies, because most people don't feel they are worth using and just forget about them. So businesses that need to supply exact change to cash users need to get some pennies from the bank, which in turn needs to get more pennies from the mint. If we implemented the rounding system Canada did, then this could be completely avoided. As to why this hasn't been an issue Congress has fixed by now, that's really just speculation, but I think it comes down to 3 main issues. The first is nostalgia, as the penny has been around for longer than every living American. The second, as I said before, is the political climate of both sides not wanting to work together on any issues. Finally, the third reason, I think, comes down to older generations of people still using pennies to some extent. While coin and cash usage is going down across all generations, older people are still more likely to use cash and coin, and I think much of those in Congress fall into the older generations, so they don't really see it as much of an issue, since it's still something most of them are using on a regular basis. For me personally, I only use cash on rare occasions, like when I go on vacation, tip someone at a restaurant, or make it rain at a strip club. That last one was obviously a joke. My parents watch this channel, and I want to make it very clear, I've never actually done that, Mom. I swear. So in my personal opinion, I do believe the penny should stop production, since it's losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and Canada already proved it can be done a decade ago with very little issue. So if the US ends production of the penny, then everything would be good for our money supply, right? Well, no, not really, because unfortunately the nickel, which is worth 5 cents for my European audience, is also a massive money loss because it costs over 10 cents to produce every 5-cent coin. Fortunately, the dime and quarter are still profitable, only costing about 5 cents and 8.5 cents to make those specific coins. But if we reach the point that even the nickel costs double its worth to make, at the very least we should not be producing any more pennies. The melt value of the zinc in pennies is worth 3 times the actual value of a penny, and it really makes no sense to continue this coin's production, which is why I believe that yes, the penny is a massive scam, wasting taxpayers' money. Will Congress actually sign into law President Trump's order to stop production of the penny? I really don't know, but I do think it needs to be done. Let me know in the comments below if you agree that we should stop production of the penny, or if you believe it should continue being used.